Welcome to the new YouTube channel. If you haven't already done it, hit the subscribe button to follow us all season long for updates and content. So happy that you're here. It's going to be a great year. Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. And my goodness, I must say, and I must give the Green Bay Packers a ton of credit in Jordan Love. I said before the season, nobody will fear you. Nobody will fear you going forward without Aaron Rodgers. And way to prove me wrong. They went into Dallas and became the first 7th seed to upset a 2 seed in NFL history. It was a marvelous game plan by Matt LaFleur, and that defense showed up in a big way. Darnell Savage made big plays. Jair Alexander, I hope he's okay. He made huge plays in the game. They were stout against the run. They were stout against the pass. I mean, Keyshawn Nixon had a great game, the All-Pro. But Jordan Love is the story of this game. That offensive line held up. I think he was only hit a few times. And at the end of the day, he was making dime passes all over the field. Sidearm, off his back foot, off balance, on the run, in the pocket. I mean, he showed off a plethora of skills against the Dallas Cowboys. But the story of this game, I don't get to do my dance. I don't get to do it. Now I got to make up new lyrics. I'm over here texting Lil Wayne, seeing if he got something else, because he's a big Green Bay Packers fan, so he's feeling really good. But I'm sitting there, divisional and done. Okay, it's going. They didn't make the divisional. The Dallas Cowboys didn't make the divisional. And I told you guys, they don't get fooled by these home wins. They hadn't played anybody. I'm not going to be one to say, I expected them to get blown out at home and get 48 points put on them, the most in Cowboys history in a playoff game. Did I expect that? No way, no chance. But I knew that teams would have a chance. I thought Detroit would come in and beat them in the divisional. I did not expect Green Bay to blow them out. And regardless of what the score ended up, it was a blowout. It was a complete annihilation. And it should be questions. I would expect McCarthy to be gone, after everybody spoke so highly of him and getting Dak he wanted to be. He's going to get fired. Dan Quinn's going to get a head coaching job likely. And they're going to have to restart. And you're going to have to be listening to them talk about Bill Belichick potentially coming to the Patriots, because Jerry Jones has a tremendous amount of respect for Bill Belichick. But does that get him over the hump? Does that change where they are right now? I don't think it does. Not necessarily, because you're going to have to pay Micah Parsons, max money, $35 million, maybe a little bit more. You're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb, max money. CeeDee Lamb, great season. You were right. You are number one receiver. You're about to get number one receiver money. And I want to see how Dallas Cowboys fans react to that. I hope you congratulate him, and I hope you appreciate him, because he's getting $35+ million. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with that. Do you get rid of a franchise quarterback that has won so many games for you I think he's one of the most winning quarterbacks playing in the league right now. I mean, they talking about McCarthy is second behind Andy Reid with 36 wins in the last couple of years. I would imagine that puts Dak in very impressive category too, and very impressive standing. So this loss does hurt. It stings, but you're going to have to pay Dak Prescott $50+ million. Whether you like it or not, or you're going to have to take a huge step backwards and rebuild from the bottom. You're not getting one of these top quarterbacks this year. You're not getting somebody in free agency that's better than Dak Prescott. Trey Lance is not ready, and you don't have time to put him in there and learn trial by fire. So you're not going to give him a chance. So what you got to do, you got to go with Dak Prescott. And you're probably going to have to, maybe you shorten the deal, 3 years, 150, 160 million. But either way, these decisions are going to have to be made. Now you're going to have to figure out Deron Bland coming off an all-pro year. How much you pay him? This guy, there are people out here that will pay him. He's played great ball. You're going to lose this whole staff. I would guess Al Harris has done a fantastic job with this secondary. He's going to get him a defensive coordinator job somewhere on one of these staffs. It might be on Dan Quinn's staff. Who knows? But what a collapse by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I was trying to go divisional and done, wild card and done, one and done. I got to talk to Wayne. We're going to take a postponement on that until me and Wayne get in the studio. We really dissect where we want to go with this, because we got to put some lyrics on it. We got to put some lyrics. Y'all was the 2 seed. You thought that's what you need. Things like that, because they thought, hey, we got the number 2 seed. We got the easiest path. Well, Green Bay had something else in mind. And now it's even more devastating than if you would have went and let's say just lost in Tampa Bay. Like people would have said, "Oh, you're on the road. You struggled on the road this year." But the Dallas Cowboys know how to do. They know how to really torment their fans. They say, "Hey, we're going to win 16 in a row at home." And then when it's the playoffs, and we're going to be spectacular. These games are going to be blowouts. They're not even going to be close. We're going to make sure you guys feel like, hey, if we got a home game, we're on our way. And then they're going to get to the playoffs and lay an egg. And I could not believe my eyes while it was happening. I said before the game, the only chance that the Green Bay Packers had is if they got ahead early and start planting seeds of doubt in the Dallas Cowboys' heads. And that's exactly what they did. They got up 7 points. Then they got up 14 points. Then Dallas Cowboys start pressing. Dak Prescott started pressing. They ran triple slants with CD Lamb. Wasn't a great call. I mean, you ran that all season. Defenses are going to be prepared for it, especially on short yardage situations. It was 2nd and 2. The defense was prepared. I don't know if they were in a in a robber situation or if they were in some kind of cover 2 or cover 3 zone, but Darnell Savage was definitely prepared for it. Pick. And then the play with Jair Alexander was just man-to-man. He wasn't even supposed to play in this game. And he went out there and put on a show, made a huge play to put his team in scoring position early in this game. And it was just back-breaking play after back-breaking play for the Dallas Cowboys, and the Green Bay Packers looked phenomenal. This was a welcome Jordan Love to the spotlight game because he has done some really special things during the season. They were 7-3 over the last 10. Over his last 8 games, he had 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. But to do it in the playoffs, in the manner in which he did it, I think he had a perfect passer rating, perfect QB rate. You got to give him a round of applause. You got to give him a round of applause. And you got to give Matt LaFleur and that staff the youngest receiving core, the youngest team in the NFL. I think the average age is 25. They don't know any better. They don't know that they're not supposed to be doing this. You don't see these receivers celebrating after the passes. They catch passes and they just hand it back to the ref. And they're like, let's get to the sideline and talk about this. Like, they're just excited to be out there playing football. That's a tough team. That's a dangerous team. I did not expect them to be able to do what they did to the Dallas Cowboys, but they got a lot of questions to answer because Micah Parsons, who's one of the leaders of that defense, had high expectations for this team. He was doing podcasts every week saying, hey, this team is going to make it to the Super Bowl. We got that kind of caliber team. Guys are buying in. He didn't make a big enough impact in this game. And those are the guys, I'm sorry to say, you gotta have play well in these games. If you don't play well, then what are we expecting? What are we expecting for the team? We expecting them to win without you playing well? Dak Prescott has to play well. CD Lamb struggled early on, found his rhythm late, but you got to lean on your good players in these games, especially defensively. Deron Bland, you got an all-pro. They expecting a turnover. You got to make some big plays, and that's what hurt them in this game. They're big-time guys, didn't show up in a big-time way, and they lost. But you got to give Joe Barry, who's been highly criticized throughout this season by the public and Green Bay fans alike. Let's not kid ourselves. He came up with an impressive game plan, held Dallas to 7 points early on in that first half, and I don't even know if they earned that 7. It looked like an offsides penalty by Tyler Smith that went uncalled, but some of the pictures of Jerry Jones, some of the videos, some of the when the camera panned to Jerry Jones and how he was looking, I wouldn't be surprised if he fired McCarthy before he even got in the locker room today. Has he done his press conference? Because I wouldn't be surprised if in his press conference he said, hey, we appreciate everybody for what they did, but we're going to start off new next year with a brand new staff. That would not surprise me in the least if they had somebody pack up McCarthy's bags and boxes and said, hey, we don't need you to come back, because that was the kind of performance that happened right there where it leads to that kind of dismissal. And I you don't like to call for anybody's job, but I could not imagine him surviving this with the expectations that this team had, that ownership had, that the Cowboys fans had, that the NFL had. Nobody expects the number 2 seed in either conference to be going home wild card weekend. It didn't even used to be a game. They just started to play the 2 seed and not give them a bye. It used to be a bye, and you just automatically advance to the next round. But let it be the Dallas Cowboys to be part of history. I appreciate you guys joining me. We'll see what we do with this next game If the Detroit Lions win this game against the LA Rams, then we may be right back at it. But everybody send a prayer to these Dallas Cowboys fans. If you know one, send them a positive text. Give them a hug or something, because boy, this was rough.